Dive! Dive!
Code red and 4 compartment middle level.
Torpedoes in the water!
No, I never have thought I was smart. I thought the people I dealt with were dumb, including you.
Okay, here we go. Episode 8 of the Too Fast podcast. Going to start off with another future sailor, potentially. Bright is your first name. Will you give us a brief introduction about you before we get started?
So, hi guys, my name is Bright. I'm just recently graduated from Arizona State University, January of 2024, IT Information Systems degree. I already got through the process of I went to MEPS. I already went through medicals. Already went through all of that. I just recently found out that a lot of the stuff that my recruiters been telling me were a bunch of lies. So that's why I'm here on this podcast because he had, according to a lot of people, has been feeding me a bunch of lies. I hadn't picked up a rate yet because I've been kind of deciding on what I want to do. I wasn't sure if I wanted to go officer or the reason I wanted to join the military was to get the IT experience. I don't know if you guys are in the IT field right now. It's killer, very bad if you don't have experience. So it's been kind of hard getting something really that I want. And also, there's a lot of benefits that the military would give me, which is why I opted to go for the military. I did want to pursue a master's or potentially an MBA later on in my life. I do want to get an MBA, and I know that the GI Bill would be of much benefit to me. I've just kind of been delaying. I haven't sworn in yet. I did the maps, I did the medical. The day I was supposed to pick a rate and swore in, when I was at MEPS, I told them, no, you know what? I had some concerns and I wanted to come back and I wanted to come back and, decide on the rate after I thought over it. And after that, my recruiter had called me and told me that I was qualified for Nuke and something about 20 people being qualified for that, which I found was a bunch of baloney. It was a bunch of lies.
Yeah.
So I have been the reason I'm on here. It was I had a couple questions about what to realistically expect if I wanted to go Nuke. I The reason I want to join the military, like I said again, is to get that experience. And I wanted to see if Nuke would be the right fit for me, or if I should just go officer, or maybe go enlisted and get CT or IT, something in the IT space that could transfer well into like a civilian career later on in my life when I am done with the military. I'm looking for that next step in my life to, take me forward, which is why I'm here.
All right. Well,
Cool.
You're in the right place for lots of those questions.
Yeah, definitely.
Let me just ask you real quick. Did you tell your recruiter that you were thinking about being an officer? And what did they say if you did?
I did tell him that, and I don't know if how true this is, but he did say that the IT rate for officers, which is called IP, has quarters, right? And it will be a longer process for me if I wanted to get in. I would have to do the whole process all over, the whole MEPS process, because it's different for officers. I would have to start it all over again, and it would take me anywhere from 3 to 4 months.
Okay, so
I don't know.
let's start with that.
Okay.
So Dakota, in the white sweatshirt, he was a former nuke who became a surface warfare officer. He can probably shed some light on that information at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I did go service warfare officer, but I had a job as a commo on my ship, which is the division officer in charge of the ITs, the enlisted ITs. A lot of times, commos on some of the bigger ships are those IP officers, the restricted line staff corps officers. I think based on what I've heard you say, that would be a great thing for you to try to get into. Yeah, you would have to maybe start over some of that process, and it might take a few months, That part is true, but what you would be gaining by starting over just that little tiny bit of time is going to pay off absolute dividends for you because, man, you already got your degree. That's the hard part. So you gotta, yeah. Don't I feel like for you taking a step into enlisted IT or CT would be um not a step forward, maybe a step to the side. But yeah, definitely look into IP, information professional. You could also look into cyber warfare if you're into that sort of thing. Um,
So what he did, I don't know, what he did say was that it was not guaranteed. He said something about it depending on the board, and there were quotas, and that it was not like guaranteed. So I could potentially put in my application and then get rejected, and I would have to go back and do the whole enlisted process all over again because it would have been over several months. So like I said, I've been having trust issues with him right now ever since he fed me those lies. So I'm taking everything he tells me now with like a grain of salt, So like I'm
Yeah.
really,
Yeah. Well,
yeah, that's
I
smart.
think what Dakota's trying to say is like, you would probably regret it if you didn't at least try to go through the process. If you only
Right.
went enlisted because that's all this guy's trying to give you, you're like, man, could have been officer. You'll be kicking yourself over that. If you didn't at
Yeah,
least
But
try.
yeah.
The other thing
but at the
too
same
is,
time, yeah, go ahead.
sorry, Mike. Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say the other thing that Dakota was hitting on was going through the officer program is in your position is the ideal path. But if that is not something that is available to you and you still want to pursue a career in IT, being enlisted is not going to be a step back for you. Like Dakota said, it's going to be a step to the side because you're going to gain all that IT experience. And then once you do separate from the Navy, you have the IT experience, you have the degree, and you can now meet a lot of those corporate wickets to get those careers, if that makes sense.
Right. Right, which is what I was looking for. A lot of the jobs that I did want, I guess they didn't want me because I had applied for a bunch of jobs. I applied for jobs with Epic, I applied for jobs with Meta, and I got some callbacks, I got some interviews, but nothing solid so far. That's not like entry level help desk. That's not really I would take those, but I would rather take the military service over that because at least with the military service, I know that 3 years in, I'm getting a GI Bill. I could put that GI Bill towards getting an MBA.
Yeah.
I could put that GI Bill towards getting a master's. If I were to take an entry level help desk paying $20 or something an hour, I'm not gonna get that 2 or 3 years in. So like I'd rather do the military over that. The ones that I really did want put me on like I would say put me on hold. They put me on like on a list, and I haven't got a call back with them, which is kind of why I'm going through this route. So I didn't know. My recruiter never told me about the officer, the IP. Literally, I found out about the IP officer route on Reddit. After I posted that question on Reddit, right? And I had to call him up for him to tell me all of this.
Yeah,
And
look, man,
again,
I think one thing that we can say for sure is that being an enlisted nuke is probably not for you.
Right.
Really, the perks of becoming a nuke are that you gain a bunch of experience that you wouldn't otherwise get, and then you can go work kind of anywhere. But that kind of anywhere is a big caveat, which is if you're going to do something not in that field, not in the engineering field, it's probably going to be entry level or managerial. But the big advantage of becoming a nuke as an enlisted person is you get a whole bunch more money than all the other enlisted people.
Right, because he did hit me with that 75K bonus, and I'm not gonna let you. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was very tempted. I was like,
if money is not in line, if extra money does not line up with your personal incentives, it's not going to matter, and it's not going to be the right fit. I think you take the advice here and you run with it, and I think anyone on earth that has served will tell you that being an officer is better than being enlisted. Especially, Dakota did both. But you're right. You will get a lot of benefits either way. And so I think you have to weigh your personal priorities. Is it worth doing a little bit of stuff over again and potentially having a better time in the Navy as an officer? Or do you not want to wait and you just want to get the guaranteed thing and go be an IT? I mean, your outcome won't be drastically different, but your time in the Navy will be better as an officer.
You were better as an officer.
Yeah.
Right. I get that a lot. You would not. believe how many messages I've gotten so far saying, "You have a degree, why are you going enlisted? You have a degree, why are you going enlisted? You have a degree, why are you going enlisted?" So it's like,
Dakota, tell them
okay,
about your fucking hidden ice cream stashes in your goddamn stateroom or whatever.
You're gonna have to
Yeah.
go back to episode 3, I think, if you want to learn that story. But
Yeah,
let me
Wes.
ask you this, Bright. What makes you been asking like Navy recruiters? Have you been talking to Air Force guys? You've been talking to Army because they've all got
Space
IT
Force.
officers as well.
Space
I
Force.
Space Force.
talked
Oh
to
yeah.
Space Force. I recently did find out about Space Force, but a lot of Space Force from what I was just there a couple weeks ago, and they did tell me that a lot of the openings they have at Space Force is all mainly Intel, and I would love. And apparently they don't deploy as much as the Navy. I would definitely love that. It's just that they don't have any. I'm not going to be looking to deploy till like September. I'm not looking to leave like till somewhere around September or December, according to the recruiter I talked to for Space Force. He said if I wanted to leave earlier, I could join the Air Force, and then they have this program where if I was in the Air Force, I get do the process in the Air Force, and then they could switch up my stuff. I don't know, put in some paperwork and all of that stuff. But then I'll be later on. But the thing with the Air Force was nothing is guaranteed, according to what he said. So I won't be guaranteed anything Intel. You know, I could get thrown into any. It could be I could get anything. I'm not guaranteed Intel in the Air Force. And the whole reason I'm going military was just to get that kind of experience for IT and also get that clearance. You know, that top secret clearance, right?
That clearance is
So
worth a whole lot of money on the outside.
right, right. That clearance is like $15,000. Like just for play, I kind of looked up jobs on Indeed and other platforms that require those, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
And it's what I've done in California. I'm in California right now where I'm at. It's a lot of jobs out here, especially in my area as well, which it's really of much interest to me because I would want to keep staying out here in California if given the option. So I would actually would want to do Space Force. It's just that, like personally in my life, it's been a lot going on. The student loans, rent, all of that. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know if you guys know about how expensive California is out here right now. Especially
I was the most recent one living there. Yeah, I left there in
right.
2022. So yeah.
It's crazy.
Dakota's in there right now.
It's
Oh, that's true.
Rent has been going up. It's as a single male.
So you don't want to wait.
Out here, it's very bad, and I just want to be able to kind of secure and provide for myself, and like doing Uber and just driving Uber is not what I expected several months after I graduated. It's not what I thought I would be doing after I graduated with a degree. So California does not make it easy to be out here. It makes it really hard. A lot of things it's just going up. So I was just looking at what options I have, and I felt that's where I kind of wronged myself because I was telling my recruiter like, look, man, anything you can get me that's in the IT space, just to get me at the house, just get me serving, get me working, get me getting paid, I'll take it.
Right.
Well, it sounds like you go ahead.
Yeah, because I'm Air Force Reserves right now, and I'm literally in the cyber field, but I don't really do much of cyber. It's more comm stuff. But what? Because you said you'd be interested in Intel, but you don't want to wait until September.
Right. I don't want to wait until September to get to get shipped out. It's already a lot going on right now. I just want to get out there and start, putting in some work.
You can get, there are plenty of IT jobs in Air Force. You can get top secret, especially cyber. Like, you'll get top secret. They'll even, like, in training, you'll get, like, Sec Plus. Like, your required training is called tech school in the Air Force. You will, depending on what your job is, for most of them, that isn't the job I do. You'll do, like, 2 months of training. You'll do 1 month to get your Sec Plus. And then, like, boom, that's, I don't know how familiar you are with it, but Sec Plus, that's a really good.
I'm currently working on my A+. I've looked into Sec Plus. I'm not taking it, but after this is not finished, I'm currently working on my A+ right now to get that.
There you go.
Sec Plus, and then network was gonna be my next just to get the trifecta. I was gonna go that way. A plus, security, and then network.
I think it's recommended to do Net Plus before Sec Plus, but that's neither here nor there. But either way, if you do a cyber in Air Force, you will get Sec Plus, and you don't have to pay for, like, just pass the test and you'll be good, right? So if that is definitely something you're looking for, at least ask your recruiter about that. The training
A different
is
recruiter. Ask the Air Force recruiter.
sorry, yes, ask the Air Force recruiter. Be explicit. The training is going through kind of like an overhaul right now. The whole field kind of is. So there's a lot of moving parts, but definitely look into it if that's something you're trying to get out of the IT, right?
Cyber
Because
is
my plan while I was in there, that was kind of like my whole plan as well. While I was in there, like I had this kind of set plan that I had while I was in the military. That I would want to get a trifecta, like that's the A plus, the network, and the Spec plus. And I also, if I have the opportunity, I would either want to pursue while I was in there a master's or kind of just focus on getting like the CCNA. And I know those are a little bit harder. It's a little bit more studying. It's a little bit more focused on networking. But that's what I wanted to do personally. I feel like that's what I was good at. What I'm good in, like the system administration or like the networking side of stuff. I feel like if you put me in there, I can like give my 100% and I can do some great work. That's what I know. That's what I like to do. And which is why I was looking for like a CT rate within the Navy. When I learned about the CT, that's the reason I actually wanted to join the Navy, because they would guarantee me a CT if I was qualified for it. So when I took the ASVAB, I got a 94. I thought that I would be able to get that, but so far, unless I'm going back there on Monday, and I would see what's available to me. Based on according to my recruiter, based on their availability, I would know what based on my score and other stuff, I would know what I qualify for. But he's saying that at least he's definitely sure that I would get something in Intel. But I was looking for something like, CT or IT or, something like that. Yeah.
So
Just
with
two
that
things.
ASVAB score, you're definitely shoot in for CT in the Navy. You should. I think your big priority would be to see the results of that when you talk to them on Monday. See how that goes. I would have that conversation about the officer program that
Right.
you want to go officer, and if that doesn't work out, then you trot on over to the Air Force and start hammering that one home. Because it sounds like
if they've given you any Navy merch, make sure you wear that into the Air Force recruiter's office too.
They give me a shirt.
Yeah, wear that.
wear that.
They'll love it.
Yeah, two things real quick. Especially since you want to do a lot of like side education while you're in.
Mm-hmm.
The Navy, you can have some widely varying results with like shore and sea duty. So, say for instance, hypothetically, you're like a sub crypto guy. Like you're gonna be out at sea non-fucking stop. Like you won't have time, or it would be very, very difficult for you to find the time and capability to try and get any other like certificates.
Dictionary education done and stuff
Yeah.
like certs.
I'm not saying it's impossible, just
improbable.
Yeah, when you're in the thick of it and you're deployed for 3 months and then you get off and get on another fucking ship and deploy for 3 more months and you do that for like 2 fucking years, it's kind of hard to get out of that hole,
There's not a lot of downtime.
Yeah.
Well, that's not to say that you have to go submarine though either.
Yeah.
I mean, it is more money.
Oh, yeah, because
I'm just making a hypothetical. Like that is.
Yeah.
I mean, my recruiter didn't tell me, because I told him that I can't swim. I'm black. I don't know. I mean, the black people, you all know that can swim. I told him that I can't swim, and he didn't tell me that that I would have to opt in or I would have to volunteer for subs. But I don't have any option. If I were to get sent to a carrier, I could get sent to a carrier or something like that. Or
where you don't have to swim?
Sure.
The Air Force.
Huh?
The Air Force. You said.
Yeah,
Well,
the Air Force.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the
The reason,
Navy.
actually,
The
the
Navy's
reason why I went to Navy was because like at least I would be guaranteed something in Intel. Because when I was making my decision on whether to go Navy or Air Force, it was one of the main it was one of the main primary reasons, reasons why I chose the Navy was because I at least would have something guaranteed, you know.
That's fair.
Was he talking? Was your Air Force recruiter saying that it's a coin toss for Air Force enlisted rates or Air
Yeah,
Force officers?
well, I was going enlist. I was asking about enlisted. I wasn't really asking about officers because at that point I didn't have my degree yet. When I started this whole process, I hadn't gotten my degree. I was still going through college. I was about to
Gotcha.
graduate, so I was mainly going enlisted. So I just got my degree January. So I've been ever since then. I've been trying to look at what different options I have. But when I went to the Air Force recruiter, he did say that it was a coin toss for what I could get enlisted. When
I don't think it'll be like that if you talk to him about Air Force
I
officer.
So
agree.
Jimmy's getting on, so hopefully he can answer some of the Navy side questions.
Oh yeah, Jimmy was a recruiter.
Yeah, I think
Navy
for,
sales.
for our segment, I think that you should pursue the officer route in the Navy if that's what you want. And if that doesn't work out, I would pursue the Air Force officer side before I would entertain going enlisted either way.
Yep.
And then aside from that, I mean, if you have specific questions about what your recruiter said, Jimmy can answer them. I don't know how much more we can help you with.
Yeah.
Right.
It's really based on what you want to do.
You definitely seem like you have the drive to grind. So
right. Like
you
I'm
going through
willing
any
to,
path is not going to be rough.
Right. Like I'm willing to get in there and put in the work. It doesn't matter Navy, Air Force. I'm just looking for something that when I put in the work, later on when I'm done, I can get something out of it because I know what I'm expecting. I know that I do want to pursue higher education, and I know that the military would help me with that. Even if it don't help me with my higher education, it would help me with my current student loans. It's like that is something right now. I'm not gonna lie.
The Navy will also teach you to swim if that's something that you're interested in.
Right.
It won't be your choice.
It was a reason. I'm not gonna lie to you. It wasn't the main reason, but it was part of the reason why I decided to go to the Navy because I was like, you know what? It's about time that I learn. Time that I learn to swim.
The swim instructors at boot camp are very good. They have like a 95% pass rate for people that failed the first time. They will teach you how to swim.
Right.
So
he said the same thing. He said that boot camp, you just don't worry about it. Just do your best. Work out a little bit. Just make sure to get those push-ups. I've been working out. I don't work out that much, but ever since like 6th in February, I've been on my grind, working out, putting in my weight, trying to just make sure that I don't have any problems with boot camp.
That's good.
So I'm fully ready to grind.
Jimmy flies in with his wine glass.
He's got the Moscato. All right, Jimmy. So this is Bright.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
Go ahead, man.
We just spent a while talking to him about him going into an IT/cyber path. Bright, you go ahead and tell him just a quick synopsis of the path that you wanted to take, and he'll try to answer any of the questions based on what the Navy recruiter told you. And Jimmy should be able to suss out some of those details.
It's been like more than 6 months that I know him. So he's like, you're a go-getter, you're this and that. Like, you can make E5 in 2.5 years. I don't know how possible that is. I don't know if that's a lie as well. Is that a lie or is that like true as well? Or not
that part's
really?
true, but he's talking about nukes.
He's talking about nukes? Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Which I'm going to go
not a
ahead
lie,
and
but
hand
it's also not the great deal that he's making it out to be.
Yeah, you can make E5 in 2.5 years in any rate, right? Because you're gonna come in as an E3, and then E4 is automatic now after what, 2 years? Well, no, I guess it'd be like 3 years then. So 3.5, something like that. But
I mean, if I take IT, because when I first went there, my PFSQ, the lady had had said that I was qualified for a CT something, an
Hmm.
IT, an ITS. I didn't want
Yeah.
to take the ITS, and there was some advanced IT something that was like 6 years. I just wanted to do the 4 year one.
You don't want to hang out with us on submarines as an ITS, man?
Hey man, are you free, bro? I'm claustrophobic, bro. I cannot deal with the underwater and the sub shit, man. It is. I don't think that's something I
I,
can do with
I think it's super
personally.
crazy because the claustrophobia thing, like I was definitely like that, and then it just goes away for whatever reason. Like you're down there so much, and then you're like, oh, it's actually a lot bigger than I thought it was. But overall, what I'll tell you is, if you want to get paid well, you want to gain experience and whatnot, um, either route is good. But I'm gonna tell you right now, if you already got a degree, dog, just go be an officer. Like like, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna get your experience, right? Like if you want to know how to be hands on, especially in the IT world, like if that's your desire, like they have intel officers and whatnot. As long as you can pass the background checks and you say you have a what
Right.
a 3.5
I mean,
3.5 in that degree,
I already did
That's
all of
extremely
that.
competitive.
extremely
Right.
competitive. Yeah, you should go talk to an officer recruiter. He's trying not to hand you over. That's what's happening.
Yeah, because he
I've,
wants to
I've
meet his
been
quota.
I've been there.
Because he also gets paid to make you a nuke.
Yeah.
Right.
The
Because he's been
He,
pushing me on
he
this
doesn't
nuke a
necessarily
lot
get paid, but
lately.
somebody's gonna pat him on the back real hard. Somebody's gonna really like be happy that he brought a nuke into the Navy. And being a nuke isn't a bad gig or anything like that. But if your desire is to be paid well, to gain experience, to be respected, and then also on top of that to lead people, I would just go straight into the
Jimmy,
officer
his
community.
only hang up for officers is that he's trying not to wait. That's the downside for him.
Right. Right.
And that's how
Because
they
they did
got
tell me
me.
that I had to wait a couple. And he did say it was not guaranteed. He did say that like I could put
It's
him.
not guaranteed, but if you have a solid officer recruiter, they can make some things happen pretty quickly. And you're gonna have to wait no matter what, right? Like if you go down there, you sign an enlisted contract, and you pick up for IT, right? You might not go in 3 months, right? It might be 6 months,
It might get
right?
pushed.
So it might get pushed, right? So if again, the difference is like how much you're getting paid, and then what you're coming in doing ultimately, right? Like if you're an officer, you're gonna break the thing, and if you're enlisted, you're gonna fix the thing that the officer broke. But in the IT world,
come on now.
and hey, that's just keeping it a buck, Dakota. You know it, you know it, man. But ultimately in the IT world, I imagine that it'd be a hand to hand thing, right? Like if you're an intel officer, you're gonna work hand in hand with your ITs and ISs, and you guys are gonna, kind of hatch those things out together. So
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is your enlisted recruiter is telling you that officers aren't hands on, but most officers I knew try to be as hands on as possible, and
yeah,
not out of line that way too. They just it's everybody's trying to get the same job done, and I think especially when it comes to something like IT, you're gonna be just as in the middle of it as the dudes working for you. So
So basically, you
that's
guys
just
are.
him trying to spin it. That's all
Yeah.
he's trying to do.
Like if I could the reason I actually didn't go the officer route was because I wasn't sure like he did say it wasn't going to be guaranteed, and like I could go put in my packet and do all of that and then get rejected, and now I would still come back and do enlisted, and he was like, oh, you could go from enlisted to officer in a year. I'm not lying to you. He said this to me. He
he's
was like,
not.
oh, you could be in
So
there for like
he's
a
also
year.
not lying about this, right? You could sign an enlisted contract and then upgrade it to an officer contract, but you're playing a shitty game there, right?
Because that
Right?
shit's
Like
not guaranteed either.
it's not guaranteed.
Yeah.
But if you go to the officer recruiter and you try to get an officer contract and it doesn't work out, guess what? He's still gonna take you. He's not gonna turn his back on you. And if he turns his back on you, guess what? You just go to his other buddy in the office. Who cares? That's just
All right,
how it
he did
works,
not.
right?
No, he didn't tell me that. He just kept mentioning like, "Oh, it's not guaranteed. Might as well just do the enlisted, and then like a year in, see what kind of officer you want to be." And actually, he didn't even tell me there was something like crypto or IP
Yeah.
or intel officers. I only found out because I had posted a question on Reddit about going nuke because he had kept pushing me on nuke so much, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna
Yeah,
go
he
ask
was.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah,
I wasn't
that's
ready.
the that's the that's the Navy's mission. Even
you
when
get
you
to
go,
take care of weapons.
even when you go to talk to the officer recruiter, he's gonna push you nuke too. So, but you got a lot more leeway with him, right? Like you could pretty much tell him what you want. We had that happen all the time with officer recruiters, like where they're like, "Hey, you don't want to be a nuke," and they're like people just like, "Nah, man, I'm not hurting to do this, right? This is something that I want to do. I have a desire to do, and if you don't want to give me what I want, then I just won't do it. It's like
Yeah.
that. It's that simple."
Here's the other
So
thing, though. He keeps saying nothing's guaranteed, but give yourself some credit, man. You had a 3.5 GPA.
yep,
Your degree is already done, and you're fully committed. You're saying a lot of people walk in there and be like, "Yeah, I'm interested in joining, but I'm not sure what I want to do yet. I
yeah.
don't know when I could leave." You're walking in there ready to go, and I would be absolutely surprised if they didn't sign you up right away.
I would just present myself to the officer recruiter like, "Hey, this is my GPA. These are my like you. I'm sure you already have your transcripts and stuff, right?"
I had my transcript. I put in my
Yeah,
best
I would.
effort.
I would just.
I had first C's throughout my whole
I'm
freaking study.
surprised that did the recruiter come talk to you, or did you reach out, or how did you get in touch with this guy?
I was looking for, to be honest, I was looking for jobs on Indeed, and he had posted
Yeah,
on
that's
Indeed,
high.
and then he had reached out. He had reached out. He had called me, and that's that's how. This was before I even graduated, so it was like, oh, you're good. You can
Yeah,
you can
fuck
go
your
right
degree.
now.
You can go be a
At
nuke. Fuck
E3,
that.
Hey,
Dude,
man,
fuck a
listen, that
degree.
that Indeed thing, man. I used to do that too. Yeah,
Dude.
man.
It was
I
funny because
I basically
he
invented the
posted a
Indeed
job
thing.
for IT. He posted looking
Yep.
for information system technicians for paying
Yep.
100K, and I'm like entry level. I'm like entry level 100K. Count me in. You know what I'm saying?
It's not
Like hit him
100.
up,
I
and
mean,
then
but
he
when you
broke it
when you rope it
down.
all in, it might be about 70.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right, right. Is there any other specific questions that you have?
Not at the moment, but I would go talk to an officer recruiter, and I would also go look into the app. I don't really mind waiting. It's just
Mhm.
that because he has been telling me that nothing is guaranteed, and I could just go. I could hit officer after a year.
If I heard you mention Air Force, I will tell you that is definitely not guaranteed. That is a tough thing because everybody wants to go in the Air Force. Everybody wants to go in the Air Force, but I would say um, always talk to any and everybody you can talk to. Explore the officer route. If it doesn't work out, go the enlisted route. Um, there is a very high probability that from enlisted to officer you can do that if you don't do it from straight in, um, because you have a degree and there are programs for that.
Right.
And
He
being
said
gained
something
that way.
about I get like automatic 4 points towards advancement, and like a lot of people don't get that. It was like, oh, it was something like that. He did tell me that, and it was like, oh, you could advance faster. Like I think you can advance to like
Yeah, that's true.
B5
It's
and
just
get
not.
BA.
He's not lying to
Yeah.
you, so that's good. You
Like
got
that
a
one.
guy that's not lying to you. He's just hiding some truths too.
I mean, that part is true. He's told you some lies, but that part is true. It's just not as big of a perk as he's making it seem to be.
Mhm.
Right. Right.
Like, I think that nothing will be guaranteed until you sign the contract. And then once you sign a contract, that is guaranteed. Whereas in the civilian world, you can get a job and then be fired the next day. So I think the
Right.
military route at least guarantees you that you're going to get a paycheck for 4 years if that's what you sign up for. It just might take some time to get there.
Armed with a bunch of
Somewhere, I
knowledge.
don't know an officer recruiter to talk to right now. I just have the same one. I met him on Indeed. So where I could like, I'm in California. I would appreciate if I can get someone out here I can talk to or go to the office. I drive like an
What
hour
what
plus.
part of California you in? Kenny, you got his Reddit information or?
Yeah, you want to reach out to him?
Right.
Yeah, I got you, dude. I'll find you somebody and we'll get you linked up.
I would appreciate it.
All right,
Well-
Bright. Well, best of luck to you. We'll be
Yeah,
in touch.
It's been
And
great talking to you guys, and I appreciate being on this podcast.
Hey,
And
whatever
thank
happens
you
with the
very
officer
much, man.
recruiter, just let us know, and we'll happy to have you back on talk about that too. So
Yeah, give us an
All right,
update.
please reach out to me with the information. I will go ahead and give him a call back and trying to get my application in. I can wait the 4 months. I mean, I'm willing to leave as soon as possible. Like I said, I did the medicals. I did the dog walk. I already did all, got my blood drawn. I did all that shit. I got my
Fucking
ass
ready,
checked
dude.
and all of that stuff. So I already did the drug test. All of that. I already went. I already went through it. So
Yeah.
I don't mind waiting and doing it again if he's gonna get me something,
There you
a
go.
little bit better.
Cool.
I would wait if it's just gonna at least guarantee me something better. If not, I might as well just go back and do what I was gonna do anyway and list it. So, like I said, please reach out to me with that information. I'll be waiting, and thank you guys for having me on here. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good rest of your one.
You too,
Yeah,
man.
take
Thanks.
care, man.
Thanks, man. You too.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you
Brian.
very much. Y'all have a good one.
Later.
Bye.
He was so awesome.
And Joe, will you do Bruce Buffer for me?
No.
Fine.
You think this monotone ass dude can do Bruce anything close to Bruce Buffer?
I think if you got the right jacket, you could do it.
No.
Let's get ready to remote.
No, that's the other Buffer.
Yeah.
That's the wrong one.
Yeah, completely
is it?
wrong.
What's my man from Deathmatch 26? Let's get it on.
Deathmatch? You mean
Yeah, Celebrity Deathmatch.
Oh, okay.
MTV.
Oh yeah. Okay. We're live. So the main story of today's episode is going to be Warrior Toughness. I talked to Joe a little bit off air about his familiarity with it. Dakota and Jimmy, do you know what Warrior Toughness is?
Yeah, it was introduced while I was on the boat.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I started hearing about it when I was on my ship. They were talking about some of the kind of coping skills and sort of like stress management techniques that they were teaching to the sailors on the ship. They're like, oh, by the way, we're also doing this to the kids in boot camp right now under the Warrior Toughness program. So that's kind of all I know about it.
All right. I think that's plenty, and I think that's probably the majority of people that joined the Navy pre-2020-ish, maybe 2021. So we're gonna watch a 23-minute video about Warrior Toughness, and this was like what NAVC. We don't have to watch the whole thing, and we can pause it and skip forward, whatever. But this is like the introduction to the program back then. And if you want to comment on anything, just like say something, and I'll stop it and we can talk about it. But
word, sure.
Right.
Cool.
Our training environment is controlled chaos, and while it may not seem like that to the recruits, each and every event has meaning and purpose. When the CNO released his strategy for maintaining maritime superiority, he instructed us,
referring, of course, to the previous CNO, not the current,
to instill in our young sailors the 4 attributes of integrity, initiative, accountability, and toughness. Toughness was something we really wanted to instill in our young sailors. The million-dollar question was, how were we going to do that?
We all knew that, yes, we need tough sailors, right? We had incidences of missiles being fired at ships, collisions, and while we had a lot of very heroic sailors step up and do what they needed to do to get through that situation, unfortunately, we have a lot of incidences of our sailors not being able to cope. That stress level gets really high. You have fight, flight, or freeze, and we can't afford to have our sailors freeze.
Okay, I want to stop there for a second to point out a couple of things. So I was telling Joe this off air, but the first time I was introduced personally to Warrior Toughness, I don't know if the program actually existed yet, but they called it Tang Toughness. And the origin story that I was given, along with a couple of other shipmates that were there, was about some surface ship that was being targeted with missiles, like that SEAL mentioned. And they had sailors that were refusing to take the watch or incapable of taking the watch because they were stressed out, scared, or angry at the ship's response to being targeted.
Yeah.
And I also want to just say that he talks about fight, flight, or freeze, but I think you can't really afford to have people have flight either. I mean, that's not what we're trying to fight. I guess
true.
freeze is bad too, but
I'd rather have a motherfucker freeze than flight.
doesn't matter way. I think I feel the same way.
At least you're still there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Something I noticed from this last guy that just spoke. For anybody who's watching this and doesn't know, SOCM was the title that they gave him. That's Special Operations Master Chief. So he's a SEAL Master Chief.
Good dog.
Yeah, he's that's
He's a
Jimmy.
SEAL Master Chief.
He has seen things.
Yeah, he's seen
SEAL
shit.
Master
Yeah.
Chief that works at boot camp.
Okay.
He works at RTC. So I think everyone in this video, with the exception of the high ups that they talk to, are RTC, stationed at RTC recruit training.
Mm-hmm.
The Navy's top admiral has ordered a one-day worldwide safety review after a destroyer collided with a civilian oil tanker.
So while I was on board the USS John McCain, we were in Singapore. We sustained a collision at sea. I was immediately thrown from my chair while standing the electrical plant. As a damage controlman, it's something that we train for all the time. Never been in that kind of situation, but I didn't hesitate. I wanted to go straight to what was happening, so that way we could figure out what was going on and fix the situation. Some people were unable to actually operate. They just went into a corner and sat there, and then when we were, "What are you doing? We need your help," they wouldn't move, wouldn't operate whatsoever. Some took a little bit of time to make their initial reactions. Eventually they were able to get into the fight, and then there were the select few that actually there was no hesitation. Immediately just started doing what they knew what they had to do.
The emotions are one of the most important things that run wild during an intense situation like that. Having the ability to fall back on training and things like that is almost second nature when you're in a combat zone. I understand that everything's chaotic, it's unpredictable, there's a million things going on, but the one thing that you need to be able to control and have a grasp of is your own emotions. Because if you can't keep those in check, you're going to become a liability for everyone around you.
With the way that the world is currently going and these heightened threats from greater world powers, we need tougher sailors. And it was very noticeable on the night of August 2017 during that collision at sea.
And so we figured, where do we start? Well, the best and most logical step is to start where our sailors first come in at the accession part, and that's Recruit Training Command. So that's the first place that we sought about instilling toughness, was with our recruits. This program at RTC first started when Admiral Bernanke at Naval Service Training Command locked a Navy SEAL, a chaplain, and a clinical psychologist into a room and said, "Hey, figure it out. Get after toughness. How do we create a program based on the body, mind, soul approach?" And that's what we've done. We believe we've found toughness at the intersection of mental, physical, and spiritual strength.
Any thoughts so far?
Yeah, I had a thought. They mentioned they know their goal. So he said, we want to get the sailors when they first come in. And the first thing I thought of was, it's all well and good if you get them when they first come in, but if they never do any of this stuff again after they leave the first 10 weeks of their, in boot camp, then it's not going to be effective. And they get I want to see how are they following this shit up after these.
So it is a part of the annual GMT training. We did it at the unit. So it is a part of that. I actually led that training for Warrior Toughness and talked about.
Is it a good training?
It was solid to me, honestly, and it's really about understanding whether you're morally injured, or whether this is just something that's happening in the moment and then it'll pass. Is one of the biggest things. Is people have to understand whether they're emotionally injured. it's a lot about understanding yourself and whatnot. The question that I was gonna ask when he brought up like the DCC, he brought about like, you know, people jumped into action, some people froze, some people, you know, took a moment and this and other. I'm just wondering like what the training programs on a surface ship are like versus like
Well,
how we got that.
that was
How,
before this was in, like that was 2017. This program
or
started in 2018.
I get you, but I'm saying like 2015, 2016, Hampton was out there getting it on the
Yeah.
drill section. Like we was drilling all the time, right? Like we was really into that type of thing. So what I'm asking is like, are you guys training the individual to get to
Yes.
that point?
Okay.
Are you allowing them to skip out on the training?
Right.
Are you not getting a full ship's force training so that people have muscle memory?
Yeah.
Right? Because you're a DCC. You better jump up.
You know.
Like,
Yeah.
I would hope so, right? Like you the man.
That was
So
I
you
had
better.
the same thought when that HM1 was talking, and just to be clear, that HM1, based on what they showed in the video and his ribbon rack, I assume is FMF, which means
He's an FMF corpsman, yeah.
combat
So
zones.
you better be about it. Like,
But he
so the
said,
people,
you know, talking about it's easy to fall back on your training when you're in a combat zone, of course.
yeah.
But that's my whole thing is like, well, we were never in a combat zone, and we trained to death. Like we trained to death, and there was never a doubt. I mean, even when shit really hit the fan, and we were really taking a big down angle, or we really had seam line ruptures or whatever, like I never saw anyone hesitate.
Yeah, we get it done.
In fact,
Make it
usually
happen.
I wished people would hesitate more because people were so eager to go help. It was like you're causing chaos.
When he mentioned that, you know, what happened on the McCain and how he ran to it, the first thing I thought about was when we were in a shipyard and they had it was like we thought it was a real fire alarm. We're in turnover, and it's like me, Daniel, Nick, and all of us are sitting up there at turnover, and this fire alarm goes off, and we get up and take off running, and like at some point in time afterwards, we were all talking, and I was like, you guys realize that in a situation that most people would literally run the opposite way, we just ran right into it.
Yeah.
It was
That's how it was.
It was the collision
That's how it
alarm.
is.
It was the collision alarm.
Was it a collision alarm?
Yeah.
But whatever it was, we ran straight to it, like with no fear, like just training.
And then the only other so I want to talk to Dakota's point, which was I taught at the submarine fire trainer at sub school in 2020, I think. Warrior Toughness became required to be implemented in all sub-school curriculum. So the students were getting some sort of Warrior Toughness re-exposure in the classroom and then also at the high-risk trainers. I'll talk a little bit about how we implemented it later because I have some thoughts on that. And then the only other thing I want to talk about this section was, okay, the Navy has this goal. The CNO has a goal of tougher sailors. And to develop a curriculum, which is clearly going to be a drastic shift in the way that everything's going, you're going to get 3 people together and develop this Navy-changing curriculum, one of whom is a chaplain, which, personal beliefs aside, like, what qualifications do they have? I mean, outsource the shit. Go to professionals. What the fuck are you doing?
Is that, do you think
chaplains are very qualified? Chaplains are not only like in the sense of like they do a lot of like personal counseling and whatnot.
Of course they do.
So,
and this chaplain may have been, but they aren't necessarily.
Yeah, I agree, but like you got to think about how many red-blooded Americans we got. You know what I mean? That have a lot of faith in God and whatnot, and they need that. They need that piece of it.
Yeah, look, I'm not saying that can't. I'm not saying that doesn't have a place. All I'm saying is, if you're gonna develop a program that affects the future of the Navy, get more than 3 people and broaden the scope of who can provide input. I mean, even SEALs, like, yeah, great. I'm sure that SEALs have a lot of incredible experience and a lot of very intensive training and skills that they've learned. But even then, you're going to talk to one guy? Like,
you should put the E5 from a boat on that motherfucker. Honestly,
get everyone or get professional, like non-Navy employees who do this stuff for a living to develop some kind of curriculum that you know is going to work.
I think the other side of it is though, like honestly, if we got some like non-Navy folks in there, if they weren't, they might not be tough enough sometimes, right? Like there is a
But
difference.
two of the Navy people are officers that don't ever go anywhere. I mean, the chaplain probably did, but a
The
Navy
chaplain go out
psychologist
to
and a
some
Navy
wild places.
chaplain, like they
No, I
don't
get you.
know.
It should have been more. It should have been more hands-on type people
Yeah,
talking to maybe a panel of chaplains, a panel of Navy
sure,
psychologists.
sure.
Because I mean, you're paying these people anyway, so if you're committed to the situation,
Yeah,
what I
and
mean,
this,
they can get together and make some stuff
I
happen.
don't think the timelines match up, so maybe this wasn't an issue yet. But like the major problem as far as mental health in the Navy does not come from special forces. Maybe outside when they're out, yes. But all the suicides and stuff are happening to junior sailors on ships with bad living conditions. Like, address
Yeah,
that instead of combat readiness to start. Like, these guys are in boot
yeah,
camp.
yeah.
But
The SEALs and whatnot, they get job satisfaction, so that's the main thing that
yeah,
keeps them motivated.
right. Yeah, they know their mission.
Hmm.
All right,
I
let's
don't
push through.
know if he was speaking literally when he said that they just locked 3 people in a room
Oh,
and they
I don't
came up
either.
with
I
the
thought
whole
it was a
program.
hyperbole also, but
Well, I have watched this video before, and I think the 3 people that developed this curriculum are the main characters of the story.
They may have led the process,
yikes.
but there had to have been more than 3 people make this program.
Well,
Nah,
let's.
no.
I'm not believing that
Just
it's just
lock,
only 3
lock the
people.
master. They locked the master chief, the chaplain, and the goddamn psychologist in the room.
Dude, the
Homie.
SEAL was probably in there the whole time like this. All right,
But this would be a good place to plug it. If anybody watching this video has any more experience with Warrior Toughness program, if you just recently went through boot camp, please leave a comment.
Please.
And we might even be interested in having you on the podcast. So just put your experiences down in the comments.
sure.
What makes someone tough? What are some of those characteristics?
I think toughness is the result of having a person of both character and competency. We must know the skill sets required to complete our jobs, regardless of designator or rating, and we must be people of character who are rooted in honor, courage, and commitment, and exhibit things like integrity, toughness, initiative, and accountability. And when we do that, toughness is the end result.
Mental toughness is as important as physical toughness. It's important to chief, it's important to the petty officer, it's important to your entire chain of command.
We've rolled out our first products. And our first thing that came out was Recruit Toughness, which came out early in the fall of 2017.
Feel overwhelmed while you're on watch, while you're waiting for your turn to man the nozzle as you're about to combat a fire, you'll do these techniques so that you're more focused on the here and the now instead of thinking about what could happen.
What we needed to know is, are these skills going to work here at Recruit Training Command? And so we did our own research. We did 3 different pilots where we had divisions who got the training and divisions who did not get the training. The divisions that didn't get the training were essentially told to be quiet for about 10 minutes because we wanted to be sure that we were measuring the effects of the program and not just 10 minutes removed from training as it is.
It's not exiting the situation to gather your thoughts and come back in, but it's the ability to real time be able to bring back the focus and get through an adverse situation without any time lost.
When you get to the fleet and I'm sending you to this recruit and he makes that slight pause, let him recalibrate. Let him find his center, let her find her center. Know that that's what we're teaching. We're teaching them to recalibrate, find themselves, look inside themselves and know that, okay, this is a stressful situation. They taught me this is an alpha fire, but this is an actual alpha fire. I know that right now my heart is racing.
You guys catch the subtitles on that one?
No.
What did he say? He said he was an apple pie, but this is a natural apple pie. Is that what he actually said?
What he said with his mouth was, they taught me this is an alpha fire, but this is an actual alpha fire. The subtitle said, they taught me this was an alpha fire, but this was an actual apple.
Natural apple pie.
Oh, no, I wasn't. I didn't read it.
Bro, I thought I was tripping at first. I was like, apple pie? What the?
But at the beginning, the guy was like complaining about freeze and flight, and he didn't want people freezing. But now this guy's talking about we're teaching them to freeze, to recalibrate, to then go fight.
Yeah.
But that's
don't
what the
think-
guy at the very beginning is saying he didn't want.
I think that's misunderstanding it. I don't even know if she's hearing me. But there's a difference between, it's kind of what I want to say anyway. The difference between freezing and like taking a second to like gather your thoughts and make like an accurate response. Right? Like,
yes,
because your initial gut reaction may not always be the right thing to do, and it may not always be a good thing to do.
Yes.
But if you just like think for a fucking second, like, what is the situation I'm in? What can I do? What should I do? And that can make a world of difference.
I train to that stuff when I'm talking to my mids. And the best training I ever got on reactions to anything was when the EDMC said to me, he's like, how long you got to react to the most crucial casualty that we can have in the engine room? He's like 10 seconds. And I think it was, he was like, stare at me for 10 seconds. And it just was awkward, son. Like it was mad awkward because 10 seconds, whether we choose to believe it or not, is a long time.
I mean,
to react.
that's true, kind of. Like, here's the thing: if I'm a nozzleman on a fire, and you're there to relieve me, and I need you to relieve me because I'm gonna die, and you take a second to
I need 10 seconds. I need all of them 10 seconds.
I'm gonna punch you in the dick. Get the fuck on the nozzle and relieve me, dude. I'm gonna die.
But that's less of a situation than what we're talking about when you're talking about the reactionary piece. Like
you should be
piece. By the time you walk into a fire, like your nozzleman
Dude, let me tell you.
it should be ready.
Having taught everyone but nukes how to fight fires, when they see something on fire, everything goes away. It doesn't matter how much you teach them. It doesn't matter how much you teach them what to do, or how much you show them the trainer when it's not on fire. And that's just a trainer. And then when they get in there and that shit is on fire, they have no idea what to do. Yeah. And if we train the shit out of fire drills, and if I'm telling you, if I'm on a nozzle and some more junior person, it doesn't matter who, if someone comes to relieve me and they need to take a second, I might die. I mean, like, that's for real.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely for sure.
Or my SCBA is going off because I have 5 seconds of air left.
Tink.
Yeah, get on the nozzle, dude. Recalibrate when you're spraying the fucking hose.
There should be forethought going into this. Whether this is a fresh dude coming straight from DC command, like, you should be thinking that along the way. That's not a reactionary process. This is, I mean, I guess you're reacting to
when I get there, this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
This.
I know, that's what I'm saying. And so, all right, I'll talk about it now. The way that we implemented Warrior Toughness at the fire trainer was, all right, the trainer is live. Everybody's lined up in their gear, whatever the simulation is. And we make them, all right, pause. Everyone visualize what you're about to do. We showed you the trainer. You maybe already did one of these. You know what it's going to look like. Visualize what you're going to do. Breathe. Imagine attacking. We had this whole script. Imagine attacking the fire. Imagine blah, blah, blah. And then they get in there, and they fucking have no idea what to do. Like, I'm telling you, I can speak to fires. I can't speak to, any other casualty that may happen, getting run into by a ship or shot at by missiles. But it doesn't help. Our generation did not receive any of this. And it felt like it was not a problem. I mean, I know that it apparently was because it spurred this training, but I don't know.
I think the problem is mostly in that E5 range, right? Like where you E4, E5, like they getting worked to death. And you know what I mean, some of them don't have that. I think that one of the things we need to stop doing is this, right? Like stop calling the sailors. Start calling warfighters. Like make them understand their purpose. Their purpose is to go fight a war.
Yeah.
That's their purpose. Right. So they need to derive the purpose in that.
I think it's also like the first time you're actually in the shit, like whether it's on a ship or you're like in combat with like bullets flying, like the first time you experience it is the most like surreal, you know? Because I'll say like the first time I was in a casualty on the boat, vice like the third, somewhere later on down the line in my naval career, or like even after the naval career, like fucking. I don't think I've told this story before, but like, dude, I was driving. It was like 5 o'clock in the fucking morning, and I'm driving to work. I woke up literally like 20 minutes earlier, so I can't see shit, and I come across a car accident right outside my house. I thought there was a fucking dead dude on the road, but he's not. He was just on a motorcycle. He got hit. But like I took a second to like try and think what I was doing, and
Before
then
you ran him over?
yeah, finish the job, right? No survivors.
Speed bump. Ba-bump.
But no,
What was
like,
that? But in reverse. Boom.
But like, cause the other two dudes, the dude who actually hit him and the other dude who was there and witnessed it, they were like freaking the fuck out. And I was like I made a roadblock on my side of the road. I got the other guy to call 911, made a roadblock. Like, I don't know. I genuinely think taking like the 5 seconds I took just looking at the situation, what's fucking happening, made like a difference to me.
Yeah.
Now, granted, like I said, it wasn't the first time I experienced something crazy, but that's the biggest hump you got to get over. Is the first, maybe the second time.
Yeah, the first. I think that's very valid. The first time something happens to you, it doesn't really matter what you've been through or what you've been told or taught. Like, you have to experience it.
Yeah.
Shit, I was gonna say one more thing and I forgot what it was. Oh, maybe this would be better suited to talk about at the end. But do you think that the Warrior Toughness program and initiative is a consequence of the Navy desperately intaking who the fuck ever will come?
Yes.
No.
Partly.
I don't.
I do.
I mean, you gotta think, like, dude, the fucking, like, the Army and Marines have way lower, like, their job is, like, get as many fucking people as they can and figure it out along the way, right? Because you gotta fill,
Incorrect.
you gotta fill bodies.
Jimmy, shed some light.
That's the Army's job. When you go to the Army, you're what I like to call a bullet sponge. You there to soak up bullets. If you go into the Marines, you are committed. I've never seen a more committed kid than a Marine recruit. They give these kids, it's one of the most beautiful recruiting tactics I've ever seen. They give these kids a bunch of cards, right? They got all the things that they want on them, right? Like, it's like, I want a place to belong. It's like this and that and the other. And he says, grab 3 of those cards. And they find their 3 favorites. And he says, take them and hold them to your heart. Now tell me, you want to be a Marine. Tell me you want to be a Marine. And they scream that shit to the high heavens, dog.
Jesus
and they never
Christ.
quit. From that day forward, they never quit, dude. They never stop being it.
That's sort of what I'm getting at, is like, maybe you don't need a program. Maybe you need to reevaluate the shit. Like, how much softer has boot camp gotten just in the last 10 years? Like, it's crazy.
It's insane. And they said it was soft when I went through, and I was
So
getting my ass kicked.
Amber?
I was just going to say that I think that that's it might just be a consequence of the way that the world is moving and how much mental health has started becoming more and more prevalent, that the Navy can't just like not do something now.
After this episode was recorded, I happened upon an article in Psychology Today in September of 2022 by Nancy Collier, a psychotherapist and interfaith minister, titled "What's Happened to Emotional Resilience?" While this article isn't particularly scientific or evidence-based, the author explores the anecdote of children regularly leaving camp early more often today than they used to, due to seemingly routine inconveniences of everyday life. I'll link the full article in the description, but the proposed root causes of why today's young people are less mentally resilient basically boil down to the following. Kids are growing up in a world filled with profound and scary problems, from COVID to school shootings, climate change, global conflicts with large numbers of civilian casualties, etc., which they are constantly bombarded with thanks to social media. Social media and screen time in general pose a specific challenge because not only does it allow endless exposure to the world's problems, but a typical user's feed is filtered through an algorithm specifically for them. This often results in bubbles forming, rarely exposing young people, or any people, to thoughts or opinions that they disagree with. People rarely have to put up with seeing or reading things that they disagree with. COVID-19 further isolated individuals away from any IRL social gatherings, where they may come across real-life humans who have different opinions or ways of life than their own. Helicopter parenting is also much more prevalent now than it used to be. Parents of this generation are often heavily focused on solving their children's problems, providing a better and easier childhood than they had themselves. The causes for this are certainly plentiful, but beyond the scope of this conversation. Perhaps these factors have culminated in a generation of young people that are far less suited to Navy or military life, or less able to overcome the challenges it brings. Considering that, due to recruiting struggles, there are less and less restrictions and lower requirements to join, It's not really a concern of recruiters or screeners to weed out those that may be mentally incapable of handling the overwhelming stress that often accompanies even the most basic military jobs. This leads to programs like Warrior Toughness, where using boot camp and training pipelines as an opportunity to change the very nature of junior military members into ones more capable of warfighting and handling higher levels of physical and mental stress is seen as an insurmountable hurdle. The simpler approach in today's world is to develop a systemic way to give these young people resources to better handle low levels of stress that would not otherwise be quite so overwhelming, or wouldn't perhaps even be stressful to tougher young people. Back to the podcast.
Yeah, I think that you're right that implementing a toughness program instead of saying like we're gonna fuck these guys up in boot camp, that's more acceptable.
Yes.
But you could do the latter thing and not make it not do a press release about it, not make 25-minute videos about it. You could just say, hey, we're gonna go back to ITing these kids. We're gonna make them tough through physical force, mental force, make them stay up later, no fucking cell phones, all the shit that has existed for 90, 100, 200 years before anybody was bitching that the sailors weren't tough enough. And then they just got rid of it all.
Yep.
All right, a little bit more to go.
Racing, my hands are clenching and I'm scared. I'm going to recalibrate. I understand the feelings that I'm going through. And then I'm going to go ahead and attack the situation.
Recruits are now asking, can we do an exercise the day prior to the PRT? And you see them breathing. You see everybody's bought in. While it may not seem beneficial at first to some people, it's another outlet. It's another way to deal with those issues. It's another way to deal with being mindful and understanding what that means.
Of this toughness and these exercises. This one that we're going to be doing is called PMR plus mental scan.
The best way that I can equate this program to a tangible resource is we're bottling and synthesizing experience. So from the recruit standpoint or the junior sailor standpoint or just somebody that's young in life, we're able to provide them techniques to be able to get through situations and persevere and come out on the other end with better after-action reflection and the ability to move on and learn through a process.
Right after that, we established our first recruit Division Commander Quality of Life Survey. And what that revealed was that our RDCs were under a huge level of stress. They'd work almost 100 hours a week and go home and try to be effective parents and spouses in the home, and that created a lot of stress. And so we said, you know what? These RDCs, they need these tools as well, okay? Because maybe there's not, they're not being shot at and they're not in a high stakes situation in a tactical sense, but they're facing a lot of stress and they need these tools as well. So we developed RDC C-School curriculum a few months later.
Dude, this shit drives me.
I always felt so bad for my RDCs, dog, because they got their shit pushed.
It's
like, without a doubt, they was getting their shit pushed in.
I mean, I've kind of talked about this a lot in the first couple episodes when we talked about like real shit, but like the Navy finds this glaring issue that they know they have. RDCs are working 100 hours and then like they can't be a member of their family. They can't do anything. They have no free time.
Yeah.
It's an impossible job. And so instead of saying, let's fix that, they say, let's fucking make them warrior tough. Dude, fuck off. What are you doing? Like, fix the fucking problem. It's crazy. Yeah, now RDCs have to spend more time at C school learning about how to be warrior tough instead of going the fuck home and being with their family.
Man, I'm telling you, they like, I respected my RDCs so much. I'm still really close to both of them to this day, man. They're both Master Chiefs, and I love them to death. But goodness gracious, dude, the amount of time that they spent with us is insane.
And it's all fucking day, every fucking day. There's no days off. Like, it's
bro,
crazy.
they there from like, you got to think about it. They leave the house at like 4 a.m.
Yeah,
to get
they're there till 8.
And then they got meetings throughout the day. Like like even here is like you seeing a whole nother side of it where you like seeing these dudes in meetings and stuff. They don't want to be in these damn meetings. They like, man,
they go through inspections. Like they go through a whole bunch of fucking bullshit. But the Navy's like, yeah, don't worry about that. Just make them recalibrate. What the fuck are you talking about?
Make them realize that 100 hours could be worse.
Yeah.
As the name Toughness first came out, I was a little bit concerned that we're actually heading in that direction. because it's an immediate turnoff. Well, if I'm engaging in development and toughness, then I must not be tough enough. I thought anecdotally, it was just going to be another Navy initiative that progressed through and people just talked about, but there was really no substance behind it.
Hey! 1, 2, 3!
First thing that went through my mind is, this is crazy, it's ridiculous, it's just another thing that the Navy's trying to do, maybe part of 2025. I was the adversary, I was completely against it, but you know what, now I'm a believer.
So when those thoughts come in your head, I'm tired, think of it more as, I have a feeling that I may be tired. I have a thought of fatigue.
I mean, that's what you were talking about, right? The mental injury thing.
Yeah, it's like knowing whether you're like mentally injured or just like in that moment hurt and like you can recover. The thought, I agree with what he's saying there, but him saying that he believes in the program is complete horseshit.
I mean, it's easy to say that when you got a documentary crew right in front of you asking about
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Like he's pitching on that, but there is a difference, right? There's a difference between like saying like I'm tired and I think I'm tired, right? Because like I've been dead ass tired on the boat and knew I was tired and knew I had to push through something to make sure that something happened or whatever. I remember I was telling somebody about getting the boat underway, and I was like one of the only mechanics on duty. No, I was the only mechanic on duty. It was ELTs, the rest of them, and this was the skipper, and I was getting the boat ready to go underway, starting up all the lube oil systems in the middle of the night, doing all this stuff through the middle of the night, getting everything ready to go. One of the solenoid valves on the TG lube oil system shit the bed. Yep. Right. So we ripped the solenoid valve out, went and got it from another boat, got this thing going and whatnot. And comes down and he's like, I heard you try to stop the boat from getting underway.
Oh my God.
And you heard, and I'm like, dog, if you knew how long I've been up,
yeah,
you know how long I've been grinding, like, dog, I'm trying to get the boat underway so I can go to sleep.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think like you can summarize this whole video, like it's just mentally buying in to whatever you're a part of, right? Because I'll tell you, like me personally, my worst mental fucking state was when I did not give a shit what fucking happened to myself or like the boat, like working up to deployment. Like that was when I was the most miserable. I mean, like, you know what? If I get hit by a fucking car or a truck on the way into work, I don't give a shit because that means I don't have
that's you. At some point, at least us, everyone gets there. It's crazy.
But it's like because I didn't care about what I was a part of,
right?
And that's like that's what the Marines do best. Is like it's essentially a cult. It's a fucking cult. Like you mentally get people who buy into it. They'll do whatever the fuck you want. But that's the hardest part is how do you keep people like engaged and mentally want to stay a part of it when you're working 100+ hours just to push kids through the very beginning of their naval career, and then a week later you fucking start that shit again.
Yep.
Like,
and that, I mean, RDC is not the worst job you can have; it's just a shitty one. Like there is worse places to be.
Like I fucking
the worst job you can have is being a recruiter.
Yeah, I'm sure that's true.
It's terrible, dog.
But something that I kind of was talking about earlier is like, well, instead of explaining that there's a difference between being mentally tired and truly being exhausted, like fucking show them, like make them be physically exhausted, like make them not be able to do it anymore so that they know what it feels like. Instead of just talking about you're going to have stressful situations, it's going to be hard. Well, put them through the fire.
I think the only time I ever experienced that was that the USS whoever the fuck when you
battle stations.
When you go to battle stations and you be up, boy, I was tired. Well,
I'm not saying that they put us through it, but
I'm just saying that that's the first time I truly grasped what it was like to like work through something for 24 hours.
Yeah, I was asleep on my feet. I was walking around sleeping.
I was a zombie.
Yeah.
But I was still doing whatever the hell I needed to do to get through that part because it was like, I got to do this.
Yeah. And was I that tired on the submarine after that? Yes. And did I still
Yes,
do my
absolutely.
job? Yes. Like, that's what I'm saying.
We figured it out. Just make them do battle stations like once a week for 10 straight weeks.
But it is 10 weeks now, so you got more time to get
Hey, man, that's
battle
called,
stations.
hey, if you do battle station once a week, that's called being in the Navy, baby.
It's called duty. Yeah, duty. On a really nice rotation, by the way.
Yeah.
Weekly duty would be killer. All right, I'm just gonna skip pretty much to the end.
Faster. Similarly, it does the Navy no good if these techniques are only helpful in boot camp. So we're also tracking the sailors who participated in these studies throughout their first enlistment.
Developing toughness and finding ways that you can manage your energy.
Performance psychology, sports psychology, character development, these have all been proven hundreds, thousands of years. But now we've taken it and put it into a package that we have proven through statistics that we actually have developed something that works. And what we
All right, we can stop it there. I looked really hard to find these statistics that they're talking about. I can't find them.
Yeah. Of course not.
I'm sure that that's probably not public, but I can tell you that the other, so not the program chaplain, but the program psychologist mentioned earlier in the video that the way that they did their statistical measurements was just having one division that got the training and one division that didn't over and over again, and then comparing them. But I don't, as a fan of statistics myself, that's not a fucking control variable.
It's not.
I was in the division across the hall from Dakota. Their division got in all kinds of trouble, was truly a bag of ass, and we were fine. And if we had been given Warrior Toughness training and their division hadn't, they'd be like, see, it works.
Yeah.
That's not statistics.
Oh yeah, that's definitely skewing it. So.
Yeah. And I'm sure they didn't pick and choose, but that's not how you do that. You got to control for it.
Well,
they said they were keeping up with the recruits. I also kept up with the recruits and looked them up on Facebook.
Yeah.
Do they ever say in this video? Because there's one point where they're like, okay, the kids who don't do it just sit in silence for 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's all right, is it the training that helps, or is it just having time to fucking decompress?
Well, they said that the ones that got the training, I can't remember. I'll skip to that part. We can watch. She says something.
They made them stay silent. The people that didn't get the training, they made them stay silent when they were talking
but the way that they compared it had to do with their failure rates and two other things that they were checking for. I'll see if I can click through that part of the video.
Yeah, that's what I mean. What is the measured efficacy of that?
Right.
I think that's the right word. Efficacy.
I think that's the hardest thing to compare though, because you're talking about individuals.
Right. That's what
we're talking about. We're talking about people. So the only way to really understand if you're doing this right way is put an entire boot camp group, say a 1 month span, let's do all of these people want Warrior Toughness, and then the next month none of these motherfuckers get it.
Right.
Which is fucked, because it's if you think that this is something that's gonna work,
you gotta get everybody. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're literally just failing them.
That's true.
Hey, but somebody got to take the shit into the stick, man. That's just a part of the deal.
Yeah, no program gets rolled out to everybody right away.
No, absolutely not. One crew, one screw, the shaft and the aft, baby, and that's what it is.
Hell yeah.
Trying to find it.
Out, baby.
Okay, I found it. So they were able to find statistically significant differences in. Come on, get to it. They were able to do better on their PFA. They were able to do better on inspections, and they were able to do better on their firefighting assessment. That's how they
think.
Oh, and they took less time to train. I'm not sure. I guess that means less.
I don't know how you quantify. Yeah.
Less people got.
I'll say that PFA piece is big, man. I know for me, even though right now I can't run, my between my leg and back is shot. But when I was recovering from my motorcycle accident, man, it was a piece of me when it was the summertime, and it's just me grinding, and I'm like, son, you want to be an officer in the Navy, you gotta keep after this shit. There's that part of you where it's dog, if you got a goal and you really want to do this thing, it's and you're committed to it, you got to keep pushing forward. And eventually what it ended up happening was I pushed through it. I ran my PFA, and when I crossed the line, my LT was looking at me. He said, "What'd you get?" And I was like a 12:45 or something like that. And he was like, "Fucking nice," because the whole summer I couldn't run.
Right.
I couldn't do shit. But like when it came to that PFA, I was like, dude, I gotta run.
Yeah, you
I gotta
definitely have
do
to
this
have
shit.
a level of personal motivation, or at least the ability to do that.
Yeah, or even some kind of. It doesn't necessarily even have to be personal motivation. Somebody that you look up to or anything like that. Like a lot of my like
Yeah, that's
strides
true.
and whatnot is because of two people, Lincoln and Rob. I'm like, hey, like these two dudes, like I really want to like not necessarily impress them or that it means anything to them or means anything to me in that aspect, but these are people that I care about, that I admire, and it means a lot to me to do these things for myself and to show them that I could do it,
Right.
basically.
And I don't mean to discredit you, Jimmy, like get on you, but you've been through the ringer. Like we all have. Like you're not a fresh kid coming straight into boot camp and then going into your first enlistment, which is, if I had to take a wild guess, is probably the biggest like deficiency because that's your, the most inexperienced. You're essentially a blank slate at that point, right?
Yeah.
That, if I had to guess, that's probably where the most room for improvement is.
So, Joe, do you think that the Warrior Toughness program is good and should stick around and maybe expand?
I mean, I don't know enough to say if I want to say that I hate it or not. But I think principally it's sound in the fact of, hey, we need to understand, if we fuck with people's brains, they're not going to be the most efficient workers or sailors.
Yeah.
Maybe the methodology could be a little better. But I think at the very least, addressing it is way better than just fucking keeping, not attempting to right the ship.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think about where this program actually develops from. It's from people basically tapping out.
Yeah.
Right. That's where it develops from. Right. Like the Navy needed to find a way to keep people on ships and submarines, and not let them literally just tap out. There was a kid that showed up shortly after me. We called him V15 or whatever the fuck his name was, Philapolopoulos or some shit like that. Whatever. This kid sucked. He was bald headed. He was 22 years old and he was fucking bald headed.
Where are you talking about?
Huh?
Where are you talking? Oh, the staff pickup.
You know who I'm talking about. You got to know who I'm talking about.
The staff pickup, right?
No, not the staff pickup. This dude was before him.
Oh, then he might have been before me.
He showed up to the boat, and he showed up on deployment. Matter of fact, he showed up right before you guys on deployment. He was probably still there, or at least up at the squadron. Bald head kid, like he like 22, 21 years old, something like that. But either way, he shows up to the boat and basically tells the cob like, "Yeah, I don't want to be here." And and we like,
cool.
You don't think we like you don't think any of us don't want to be here, buddy? Like the fuck? Do you think we just like signed up for this boat? Like motherfucker, you a submariner, like you committed to the program, like you here. Right.
Yeah,
And it wasn't like he had a hard job or anything like that. He was a fucking ST or some shit. But either way, he literally told the cop, like, I don't want to be here because I'm just better than this. And they let him tap off the boat like that. Right?
Well,
Versus people
that's
that
what I'm saying. Like
versus what people have actual problems that can't get off of boats now.
Yeah, that's true. Even then they couldn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something happened to that kid in the pipeline that caused him to mentally check out. Like he was never ever gonna acclimate or anything, right?
Yeah,
But
maybe.
Or
maybe he
Do
had
you
decided
think
that he
the
had something
Warrior
that he wanted to do.
Toughness would be better if it had something like a PRT at the end?
No.
Where like you train, like you're Warrior Tough, you got this training, and then now you have a test and you have to do this test every so often, like a PRT. Because I feel like if you guys had this training, you guys would just like blow it off.
100%.
Yeah.
And I
think the only way that it would be effective is if you had to pass some test.
I mean, I would say,
I don't know what the test would look like or say, but I think that there would have to be
'Cause
something
when
for you
we
guys to
got
take
it-
it seriously, regularly.
yeah, when we got it in 2018, when it was still tank tough, or at the very least, that's what they were calling it to us. Like, I didn't give a shit because all I knew was as soon as I'm done with this shit, I got to go back to the boat and do whatever the dumb bullshit was happening at the time. I don't remember. You know, like it was like 20 fucking degrees. We walked across the fucking base in the frozen cold.
Yeah,
you know,
to have our training.
Yeah, to go to this little theater, and these dudes we had never. Oh, cool.
Dakota, what do you think?
I think that
piece of shit.
Joe's frozen.
if you
Sorry,
can you hear me?
I can hear you. Joe's frozen now. He's
Oh,
go ahead.
I think that you have to do this in boot camp for the reasons Joe was just mentioning, because I think you have the highest mental buy-in right at the beginning. Because you're not jaded yet. You're not like, you're actually still thinking that you are doing something cool when you're in boot camp.
That's true.
I think I would have benefited from receiving this training. I think I would have.
I could see that too. Definitely.
I think that maybe I would have thought some of this is kind of like not for me, but I think I could have found some value in it.
It's something that's very difficult to make it seem like it matters to everyone.
Yeah.
In the Navy. Like
especially like older, like people that didn't get that to like the initial piece of it. But like if you give this person an initial piece and it's like, hey, like I gotta buy into the Navy. I gotta like be
but I'm talking about
cognizant
even in the room in boot
myself.
camp, it's hard to be talking to like Seabees and divers and SEALs and guys that are gonna go do some shit. And they're sitting next to like cooks and ITs and nukes, and they're like, "What are you talking? Like, why is
but
this
the cooks and ITs and nukes don't know that they're not gonna go do anything, dude. They don't know that yet.
Maybe
they don't have a clue.
That's true.
Like I remember when they sat us down and they showed us 9/11, dude. I cried like nobody's fucking business, dude. I was in the fucking 3rd grade when 9/11 happened. Like 9/11 meant so much to me in that moment when I was in boot camp that I was ready to fucking spool up about it. Like,
but that's gone. It's been too long. The kids that are going to boot camp were not alive when 9/11 happened.
No, they were not.
It's like
They
it would be
don't-
like
they don't
showing us.
have any-
It would literally have been like showing us Pearl Harbor videos.
I unironically think if you like really want to make like a lasting culture, you have to lean more into like essentially
history.
Yeah,
like,
I
for lack of
agree.
a better word, you need to make it more like cult like. Like
I agree, but
you
like
have
show
to
them
like
show them a
make
bunch of Ukrainians getting blown up or a bunch of Houthis attacking destroyers. Like I'm just saying,
something.
you gotta
I would
It's-
show them anything that's gonna get them to transform that mindset from civilian to warfighter. I'm a big proponent of the warfighter thing.
And that's I think that's my biggest gripe with this is like that's not really what this is. This is like you're good as you. Here's how you deal with the impossible situations you're about to be put in. We're not going to fix those situations. We're not even going to address those situations. Breathe better, reflect better, and execute better. Like, okay, but maybe as who I am as I come into boot camp is not good. And it's not what the Navy needs. It's not what the military needs. And boot camp should be the avenue through which who I am fundamentally changes.
Yes.
And giving me tools that I can use later when I'm stressed out or put in an impossible situation. Yeah, that's all well and good, but I'm not who you need.
Did you guys cry at all when you got your hair shaved? Because I boohoo cried like a baby.
Why?
I knew it was gonna happen.
Did you not?
I felt like I was in a fucking cult, dude. I felt like I was in a fucking. I was in a cult, right? Like I literally, they shaved my fucking head. I went and looked in the fucking mirror, and I was like, I broke down in tears. I was like, "Yo,
Yeah,
they
you
did
still
it to
are.
me. I'm
If you're in the
fucked."
military, you're still in the cult.
You're in the
just,
cult.
Like, it's not propaganda
I mean,
as much, so it's not like melting
it's
your brain.
absolutely
in.
not propaganda. I'm the propaganda now, baby.
Yeah, that's okay. The last thing I want to touch on with this is I googled Warrior Toughness as I was trying to find some of this information, and I came across 2 Reddit threads in the history of Reddit about Warrior Toughness, and I found some very funny comments. But so Warrior Toughness, someone commented about like, what is it? What do you think of it? And this person said, I think kind of along the lines of what you guys are saying, which is, I think if you read into it and don't think of it as a GMT, there's a lot of good that it talks about. I've heard a lot of people refer to it as hippie shit, but you know what? That shit has been doing me justice for a few years now.
The goal is to shift the culture of the Navy and make it a part of your daily life. You have to take it seriously, though. And they go on, but I mean, I think that's valid.
That's validity. There's a lot of validity there.
But I also think that is only a requirement because two things: the Navy has cast such a wide net out of desperation that they're willing to turn whoever into a body at sea, no matter what the ramifications are of that, and hope to give them tools to handle it.
I don't think they have a choice, dude, though. Like,
they don't.
Not only are they casting a wider net, but if they casted the same size net, they're still not getting the same people they got in the 1930s
Before, right?
and
Like
40s.
society, the society is
It's
changing
different
so
now.
much.
But the Army is, and the Marines are, and the Air Force is.
The Army is missing. The Army is missing goal by.
Then it's the Marines and the Air Force that are
The
constantly.
Marines and Air Force are still getting.
So
right?
it's possible.
But again, the Air Force, they're getting because that's the first thing that anybody wants to sign up for. Is Air
of course, as they should.
It's a good life.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. They know that they're gonna live a good life. They ain't gonna go do shit. They get homestead, all that shit. They know all of that. The Marines is because the same thing like I was talking about earlier. Like the Marines is there's 4 girls at the prom, and the Marines dress up the prettiest, put the most makeup on. They do all of that to make you feel like she's different than every other woman you ever met in your life. And then when you get with her, you realize she's just like everybody else.
Yeah, I mean, budgets are
you already
budgets, but,
locked
like,
in.
you could show people the intro, like an intro to our podcast, or a bunch of ships blowing up a bunch of other shit. You could make the Navy like the Marines and get the people that you want.
You could, but you gotta recruit them like that too, right?
Well,
like you
we
gotta.
don't. Yeah, we don't
You
have
gotta
those
get them to
fucking
buy in from the beginning.
Godsmack recruiting videos, dude.
We got to bring it back. That's
Yeah.
what this whole thing boils back to. Bring Godsmack back to the commercials.
Yeah, those fucking 20-second commercials of them doing fucking flybys, like
yeah,
come on.
Someone else said 10-week boot camp has begun, which I think was 2 years ago, and asked about what the extra 2 weeks are for. And somebody said, I was in the experimental 10-week boot camp. Liberty. The classes were useful, but once class is done, we do nothing. I remember just shining boots for a whole day. Also, they have life skill classes added in there too. We learned Matrix March, which I guess was cool, better than doing nothing. But like, they made boot camps 2 weeks longer.
What the fuck is a Matrix March?
I don't know, some fancy marching, I guess.
Never heard.
Yeah,
of
it's probably like where you like cross into each other and shit like that when you march. Yeah, my division was too stupid to do anything like that.
And someone asked, someone that represents boot camp, I don't know who they are, but their username is USNNSTC. They asked, if you have any questions about the 10-week boot camp, ask them here. And somebody said, is it after battle stations? And they said yes. And they said, does the Navy ball cap ceremony still happen? And they said yes. And they said, so I'm a sailor now. I'm not a recruit anymore. And for 2 weeks, I'm at recruit training command. So does that mean that all my, like, I have less rules? I can have my phone, or I don't, like, everything that's considered contraband is not contraband? And the answer is no. You're still in boot camp. You're still a recruit. It's 2 more weeks, but you're not actually recruited.
They can't remove that stigmatism from it. That's good. That's got to happen that way. NSTC is Naval Service Training Command, which is the command that I'm under.
Oh, right.
They are the father to the Naval Education Training Command, which is a command that I'm also under. So they're like big dogs in the service side of the house. So it's probably a PAO, honestly.
It is a PAO.
Yeah, and they're trying to infiltrate the Reddit scene.
Yeah, it is a PAO. And then someone else answered the what's your honest opinion of Warrior Toughness training, and just said a crock of shit.
I don't think it's a crock of shit, mostly because it can go two ways, right? People. So I think the original standpoint that I got on it when it came to the boat was that they were tired of people tapping, and they were tapping for what they felt like were invalid reasons. So this was a way for them to turn people back around to the boat.
But that's not how it's presented, though. That's just maybe how it's.
No, it's not. It's not. But that was my first reception of it, and this was 2015 when I first saw this stuff. They had a therapist up at the squadron building and whatnot, and if you go in there, you sound sad.
Yeah.
She gonna do what she need to do to get you back on the fucking boat. You going back to the boat, bitch.
Of course.
Like
Yeah.
Like, there's no doubt about it. So, like, I'm sure Morty went up there a couple of times, and
but,
he
I mean,
ain't he's finished his tour.
I know plenty of people. I friends of ours, people that have been in the podcast. Like, I know people that went up there and were like, "Yo, I need a way out," and they're like, "There's no way out. Get the fuck back to the boat."
Go back, baby.
Yeah, and maybe for those people, this program may have been beneficial. I mean, it's
Yeah, because eventually, like you either have to you got two choices, right? Like the same thing like we figured out with Morty, where it's like this motherfucker's not actually sad; he's just situationally sad. He doesn't want to go to work. Nobody
All right,
does, bro.
Let's break it there. I gotta pee real bad. We'll come back. We'll do some fun stuff, and then we'll call it an episode.
Hell yeah, brother.
Okay, we're back. We're going to do 50, 50, 90. So for good nukes, we will get less than 10% of these questions. We will get less than, oh my God, how does this fucking work?
Get more than 10% right.
We will
You only
get
need to
more
get two
than
right.
10%
Get
of these
two
questions right. And we'll see who wins. I knew the track record of everyone at some point. I forgot it now. But and then we'll do a hypothetical situation. Amber will pick your favorite one. Let's do it.
Okay. So we're going to go. Kenny never wants to go first. So I'll do Jimmy, Kenny,
Yes. The black man finally gets to go first.
All right, number one. These are all true or false, by the way.
Okay.
Godfather Part 2 was the only film sequel to win an Academy Award for Best Picture. True or false?
True.
False.
False.
True.
It is false.
I feel like there's a Star Wars
Lord
movie
of-
in there.
Or
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King was the other.
Okay.
I ain't watched none of that. But Godfather I watched.
I'm surprised that Godfather Past 2 didn't win one.
Okay, number two. Risotto is a common Italian rice dish. True or false?
True.
Oh God, so the question is it Italian? Risotto. False. Probably Eastern European or something.
True.
False. It's not rice, it's noodles.
It's rice, homie.
It's true, and it is
Damn it.
rice.
It is rice.
Italian.
It's long grain rice. I know that. I'm a rice connoisseur.
True, I should have copied you.
I forgot, Jimmy, that you know all the bougie shit like oysters and rice and champagne and fucking Sauvignon Blanc.
I think rice is the odd man out of that list.
Yeah, rice is not.
No, but we're talking about the fancy
we talk
Italian
about
rice.
Italian rice.
The fancy Italian rice.
Yeah, Jimmy, plug your Instagram.
Yeah, plug your Instagram so everybody can
Oh, you
follow
talking
you.
about Chef Three? Chef
Your
Three
food
right.
one.
Chef Three right.
All right.
Yeah. Chef Three right.
WRI.
Yep.
All right, number three. The mint julep is the signature drink of the Kentucky Derby. True or false?
True.
True.
False.
It's true.
He's
I know.
playing the numbers down there, dog.
I know.
He's playing the numbers.
I'm gonna see who remembers from the first episode that if you get them all wrong, you got them all right. Remember that shit?
No.
Not at all.
Oh, all right.
I'll go back and
What
watch.
the hell? Oh, yeah, we got to go back and watch that shit. I'm trying to
Go ahead and
figure out
plug
what's
that
going
in right here.
on.
I think you're trying to gaslight us
All right.
because you're 0 for 4 right now.
Three.
Okay, sorry, my bad.
All right, number four. In Shakespeare's play, Hamlet commits suicide. True or false?
True.
Jimmy.
Hamlet
is true.
False.
True.
True.
False.
It is false.
Damn it.
He was stabbed to death.
I know that from Jimmy.
Yeah, I didn't know. I ain't never seen no Shakespeare. Now
Oh,
maybe
who
that's
then?
what I need to do to fancy myself up a little bit more.
Jimmy Neutron, he was stabbed by whoever Carl was playing. I'm pretty sure, maybe Eric.
Oh shit! That was an episode.
Yeah, that's how I know for real.
Oh god! I
All
wish
right,
I could have
number
recalled
5.
that.
The prefix mega means 1 million. True or false?
True.
True.
True. Megadeth.
Mega Millions.
Million.
Million.
I know that.
All right,
Megadeth
number
is
6.
1 million people dying to a nuclear explosion. If you didn't know that.
Oh, interesting. I thought you were talking about the band.
Yeah, that's
me
where
too.
the name comes from.
Oh, okay.
That's why I know the answer.
Jimmy, number 6. Cost is one of the 4 C's of diamond grading. True or false?
False.
False.
True.
I feel
False.
like Kenny was on his phone.
You got clarity, color,
cut, clarity, carrots.
cut, and carrot.
Wait, did Dakota answer?
Yeah, he said false.
Okay, yes. It's false. Cut, clarity, color, and carrot.
Oh shit. That's why Rick Ross
Okay,
is
number
color, cut,
7. The
clarity.
Forbidden City is in Beijing.
God damn
True or
it.
false?
Fuck.
Forbidden City is in Beijing. Is that what you said?
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, she's still there.
I can't see Joe. Oh,
You said what now? The Forbidden City is in Beijing? That's false.
False. You're good, Joe. I see it. You're good.
False, because I don't know what that means.
False. In Hong Kong, right? Or
I thought
was?
so too.
it's true. It is in Beijing.
What is the Forbidden City?
Take that as a lookup.
Is it not
China.
Shangri-La?
Yeah, I got.
I thought it was in fucking Vietnam, dude. We're pissing off the international audience.
I also think it might be Shangri-La, but China.
Cut that.
China. Don't cut no more.
It's an Imperial Palace complex in the Imperial City in Beijing. Okay, cool.
It's in Beijing.
Yeah,
We all wrong.
It was
We
literally
all
where the
wrong.
Chinese people could
That's
not go
fucking
in like the
nuts.
16th century or something crazy.
Mm.
Okay,
I'm a sad
so
boy now.
number 8. An American was the first man in
Amber,
space.
come back.
True or false?
Make it like it used to.
Jimmy, you can't hear Amber?
be. No. Amber, come back.
She's back. She just asked another question.
Make it like it used to be.
You can keep serenading me though. I'll keep that.
An American was the first man in space. True or false?
False.
Shit. I think it's false also. I think it's a college. No.
Yeah, false.
False.
It's a fucking
Yuri.
Russian or some shit.
False. Yeah, it was a Soviet.
Okay, I can't.
Okay, number 9. Hurricanes and typhoons.
I'll just tell him the question after you say it.
Okay.
Shit.
Hurricanes and typhoons are the same thing. True or false?
Hurricanes and typhoons are the same thing. True or false?
True.
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 False. False.
It is true.
No, it's not. They spin different directions.
Only in Australia.
Yeah, it's because they're on the other side of the planet, but
It's
They're
not
the
one.
same thing.
It's true. So in some places they call it hurricanes, in some places they call it typhoons.
They spin in different directions.
They spin different.
okay, if you're driving a car forward or you're driving the car in back in reverse, are you
It's still a fucking car, right?
Yeah, like
Because one spins clockwise, the other spins counterclockwise. Look
what is that?
shit up.
Who cares?
Look that shit up.
That's why they got different names.
It's because
That bitch still
No,
still a
they're
hurricane
both
to
tropical
me. If I see it
cyclones.
coming, I'm still gonna call it a hurricane.
All right.
It's like how every big wave I see is a tsunami.
Exactly.
Maybe it's cyclone.
Okay, one more.
Cyclone
It
is
could
a
be
tornado.
It could be cyclone. I'm thinking.
Cyclone is a.
Can you guys hear me?
Water spout.
Can nobody
I
hear
hear
me?
you.
I can hear
hear you.
you. I'm just caught up on the fact that I think I'm a lot smarter than I am.
Yeah, they're called. They're both tropical cyclones, is what I was telling you. Is what I
Oh.
was saying.
I thought they spun in different. I'll take it as a lookup, okay?
Yeah, it is.
I'll take it as a lookup. Write that on the corner of the board.
Toilet bowls apparently flush in different directions depending on where you are. So, but they still flush. Still call it flushing.
It's actually not true.
Coriolis effect.
Yeah, we'll see.
Dog.
Take it as a lookup.
Mark Rober just did a video on it.
Anyway, number 10. The thigh bone is the largest bone in the human body. True or false?
Jimmy, the thigh bone is the largest bone in the human body. True or false?
Can we call it what it really is? What the fuck? That shit is supposed to not be a thigh bone. You
Sorry,
just say
hang on. The bone that's connected to the hip bone is the largest bone in the body.
Largest bone in the body.
The femur. Is that better?
Yes.
Yes, I'll say yes. I'll say it's true.
I think largest may be tricky here, but I'm going to say true also.
Yeah.
Because we talking about thickness and length, and I think thickness and length is.
It's true.
When I eat a chicken,
Jimmy, before you even start this down this, we're gonna cut you off right
when I eat
now.
it, when I eat a chicken, the thigh bone look thick as fuck.
Well, that's about the human body, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, they mimic us.
I'm gonna say true.
It is true.
Yes. Once you said femur, I knew it was true.
Femur, yeah. She should have said femur from the jump, though.
Femur.
Oh, the one that's connected to the hip bone?
My knee bone's connected to my thigh bone.
Ooh.
All right, Amber, what's the next question?
All right, so it's a hypothetical.
Oh, that was 50-50-90 the end?
Yep.
Oh, okay. So if you win, you get cool green numbers. If you lost, you get drippy red numbers. And shame.
And
you get them all wrong.
it's probably Dakota.
It's probably me today.
All right, let's do hypotheticals.
I'm by winning.
Okay. If every profession paid exactly the same, what job would you do?
Jimmy, if every profession paid the same amount of money, what would you do?
If every profession paid the same amount of money, what would I do?
Are we going in the same order?
Sure. Unless Jimmy
I think-
doesn't want to go first. But I'm tired of getting
The
flack.
same amount of money. Can I die for my profession, or is like, am I good to go? Like, you know what I mean? I'm just doing this thing and just living life. So I think I would hunt sharks. Like I would like get in the water and like get out the
You would get in the water? Are you trying to make it an even fight? Why are you getting in the fucking water? Stay on a boat.
Bro, I saw a dude jump in the water the other day and go after a shark. I was like, oh, this motherfucker nuts. I was like, yeah, that should be lit, honestly.
That's what you want to do for the rest of your life.
Dove right in the water after a shark.
Dive in the water with
sharks.
All right.
It's not fun for me. He can't hear me.
No.
Amy said you're fucking crazy, Jimmy.
You gotta remember, sharks can't swim backwards, baby. That's
there you go.
the number one thing. They can't
Well,
swim backwards.
unless they're in a typhoon.
Yeah.
That's right.
Or
reverse.
tornado. And then it becomes a sharknado.
Oh,
now they out here doing the fucking the electric slide. They reversing.
If every profession paid the same.
That's the cha-cha slide, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
If every profession paid
The
the
electric
same.
slide is the one with the female. That's my fault.
I think I would be a movie critic.
Like that.
Feels like that would be a pretty cool job to do for the same amount of money as everything else. So that's what I'd pick, movie critic.
They make a lot of money anyway, so
That's probably
you get paid
true.
big.
But I feel like if everyone made the same money, you wouldn't have to like have a reputation. You could just do it.
You could just do.
Yeah. Joe?
Are we? Yeah. Well, I guess if we're under the assumption we can also just get any job. Yeah, I would definitely want to be
Yes.
like some type of like commentator. I don't know what.
That's a good one.
Just something that allows me to talk shit and get paid to do it.
Are you gonna replace all your T's with S's still, or like?
I'm just
are we
gonna talk how I talk regularly. Like I'm not gonna have like an
I love
anchorman
that.
voice.
I
I'm not
want
gonna have
you
like
to be like on CBS with fucking Tony Romo.
Dude, you know how these companies work. He would be put on Thursday Night SmackDown.
Yeah. Absolutely, dude. Thursday night football. I'm your fucking
Thursday Night
dude.
Football,
I'm-
yeah.
Thursday
fucking
night,
down for
any Thursday night event, I'm there.
I'm fucking there, dude. I don't give a shit.
Welcome to Cersei Thursday Night Football with Joe.
Yeah, so you gotta really. I'm not listening to them. They're fucking paying to listen to me. So fucking take it or
Hey,
leave
that's
it.
true. That's true. You can't even hear them. But when you get on
Actually-
Twitter the next day, they're gonna be on your ass.
Fuck 'em. I'm the one
Actually
getting
put him-
paid.
They put him on the alternate stream with all the women commentators.
Hey, if I'm getting paid the same, it doesn't. You can't even talk about like the gender wage
Exact
gap, dude.
same.
I don't give a
Yeah?
shit.
Mm-hmm.
If
I
I'm
was-
getting paid, I can be a professional hater. That's what I want to be. I want to be a professional hater.
Yeah.
Hey, hate on,
If
brother. Hate
yeah,
on.
hate.
Hate
I
on.
can hate
Hate.
anybody.
You'd say any sport, just bring me all of them.
I don't give a shit, dude. The less I care
Hey.
about it, the better, because I can
Yeah,
talk
that's
more
true.
shit about it.
Put him on cricket and luge and yeah.
I have
That's honestly
no idea what the fuck's going on.
Joe, if I could change my answer, I would have been a professional player hater.
Yeah.
For sure.
Dude, if I can talk shit about Chandra Paul or whatever the fuck that dude's name is, I don't give a fuck.
You talking about Sean Paul?
No, Chandra Paul, the dude
Chandra
he's named
Paul,
after.
dude.
You know that's where he got his name from, right?
Yeah, because you told me that.
This is all a throwback.
Ah, look at
to,
that. Look at me. Chandra
episode
Paul.
1, right?
Is that episode 1? You gotta love it.
It was somewhere.
Did I sleep through episode 1?
Yeah, that's where Sean Paul gets his name from. Is
I
when
think
he
it was
says,
the one that didn't get aired.
Yeah, he says Chandra
Chandra
Paul.
Paul. Some give it to you.
Them, but
Oh, yeah.
he's saying Chandra Paul, the cricket
He's
player.
a cricket player,
Yeah.
but no one actually believes Jimmy when he says that. So
He said it himself.
All right,
It's just
Dakota.
I'm just repeating what the man said.
I'm gonna do like so basically my work, I'm getting paid no matter what, so I can still, pay for my house and provide for my family and everything. So I think I'm gonna do like volunteer work, like charity work, just handing out soup kitchen, clothes,
That's
shit
what's
like
up.
that. Because like normally you don't get paid for that shit. You just have to
Yeah,
do it out
that's
of your own time. And
Yeah.
I feel like if I didn't have to worry about money, I'd be doing that shit.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. There's this lady named Miss Shirley out in LA. She goes out to Skid Row and she does the same thing, and she does this all on her own time and whatnot, and people donate and she gives it back to the community. It's pretty dope.
Okay, Amber. Well, Dakota's gonna make this challenging, but go ahead and pick a favorite.
He hit you with the fuzzies, the
Yeah.
warm and fuzzies.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good answer. One I didn't even think about.
I believe a soup kitchen is when a bunch of homeless dudes have a orgy in the back of your Prius.
Dirty Mike and the gang.
Dirty Mike. That's the first thing I thought of.
Oh, that's
Soup
good.
kitchen.
Is that not what you were talking about? Were you talking about something else?
Yeah.
Now that seems very accurate.
Dirty Mike
Well,
and
that
his
has
boys.
skewed things a little bit now.
Well, so that means Dakota is definitely the right answer, right?
Right. Yeah, I think Dakota's is the best answer.
Fucking soup
Thank you.
kitchens, dude.
But I really liked the movie critic one.
Oh wow, Joe wasn't even in the running. I like Joe's answer.
I really like Joe's answer too. But then
gotta think about it.
he just
A
wanted
movie-
to talk shit, so then I kind of
That's
fell
what a
off.
movie critic is. A movie critic is just someone who doesn't want to properly label themselves as a hater.
That's only what they are in the current context.
So who won?
Oh,
Me.
sorry,
Dakota.
Dakota won.
I'm
Jimmy
sorry.
can't hear him.
Jimmy can't hear me.
Dakota won?
Yeah,
I jumped
man.
in a fucking
It wasn't
ocean
you
with
though.
sharks.
You were in last by a landslide.
Yeah.
She didn't even mention you.
You did not
She
get
was
an
like-
honorable mention.
She was like, Kenny, that's good. Joe, that's
Dude, we
good.
should do this one episode, or one person every episode can't hear some other person.
Can't hear shit. You just have to figure it out.
Because I'm in fucking shock over here.
Yeah, but
Like,
nobody tells the other person who it is that
Yeah,
can't hear
like-
the person.
They're sitting there like,
Well, she
It's a
said it's not.
secret.
She said yours
You know
isn't
that-
believable, Jimmy.
you don't think I'm gonna get in
No,
the
I
fucking
didn't.
water with a shark?
No, I
I
did
ain't
not.
scared. I ain't no
He
bitch.
said.
he
She
thinks
said.
you're saying no, it's not.
Can he
believable.
even see me?
Can you see her, Jimmy?
No.
Nope.
She did
Jimmy, what you
this.
need to understand
like,
is
"It's
that
not
I
believable."
always win the hypotheticals, my dude.
You know, this is some bullshit. You know, I was before I left the boat, right? So before the boat transferred, I was fucking training to be a diver.
All right, that's a good end. We'll wrap it up there.
Jimmy, I love you. I'm sorry.
Like and subscribe.